you do a roll call for everyone else, please?
Mr. Bale,
Here.
Mr. Copeland,
Here.
Mr. Drexel,
Here.
Mr. Horton, Mrs. Showerman here, Mr. Winarski,
Here.
Chairman Patilla.
Present.
It's actually Chairman.
All right, we'll go ahead and get started with the agenda items. Number one, we had a first read in the prior meeting, ordinance number one, general fund. Budget supplemental appropriation, $124,000 for prosecuting cold cases. We don't have anyone here from the DA's office. But I don't believe, hey, Tom. I don't
No,
think.
they
that-
said they couldn't make it to the meeting today and we kind of.
And we had-
The last time.
We had asked them quite a few questions. I think we're all good. Just keep moving that forward. Okay. Number two, ordinance number two, approval of waiver of bid requirements under the purchasing code for sole vendor contract for ESRI and the county health department. I think, Aaron, were you speaking to that at all anymore? I think that we touched on it quite a bit last time, right?
Yeah, I'm just here in case there were any additional questions.
And, Aaron, if you would note that Andre's present now. Hello, Andre. We just, thank you so much. It's good coffee there, was that? Wow.
You had to deliver.
I had asked very nicely if she would like to bring me a cup when it was done being made. So Andre, we just covered agenda items 1 and 2. We were just talking about number 2. I don't think we have any questions on that. We'll move that forward. Yes. Okay. Number 3, waiver of administrative code and appointment of ZNA to perform audits for the year ending in December 31st, 2024. This was pursuant to the conversation we had at the last finance meeting that we either needed to waive the bid requirements or do a rush bid process. They'd sent us the letter of engagement. Is that included in the agenda or the finance packet? Yeah. So we've got all that information. Anybody have any questions regarding that?
I did call the gentleman. And he contacted Karen to facilitate this. I reviewed all the agreements. And they're very much the same, word for word, as last year's agreements, which I have reviewed as well. I recommend.
And then. Obviously, we can handle this in caucus as well, but I think that we ought to move this to a second read in the meeting, just so that we can get started with the kickoff meeting in February. And as I understand, Erica had kind of coordinated setting up that kickoff meeting. Is that your intention, or do you want to work with Colin to get
Yeah,
that
no,
going?
I'll still do it. I was just waiting until it got settled and then I'll reach out to Ryan and ZNA and get it all settled.
Okay. So, any other questions about that? All right. Number 4, resolution approving an amendment to resolution number 25. Dealing with a tax exoneration we did last year. Looks like the parcel number was correct, but not the address. Is that the substance of it?
That's
Yeah.
correct.
Okay, and guys, I invited Jeremy to come speak to us because, you know, being from the land bank and wanted to give an opportunity that you guys saw me if you want to address that, please.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you all for having me here. Jeremy Glazer, I'm the new executive director of the Erie County Land Bank. I started January 1 in that role, so I am still getting my feet under me and not as familiar with all the properties or all the transactions. A little background detail if you had any questions about this particular property. It sounds like it was a typographical error that caused it not to go through the first time. But yeah, this is a property in Corey that we're just trying to get the taxes exonerated so that we can get it back on a tax roll. My understanding is we've already done the demolition, so this is a vacant lot. It'll be a side lot for the adjacent neighbors who have already shown an interest in the property.
Yeah, and they already took ownership of that property, right?
We
No.
currently still own it.
Okay.
We're waiting for this process so that we'll be able to transfer to them quickly.
I got you.
Thank you for coming. You saved your trip.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've asked him to come just so he could explain it, but also have an opportunity to get to know us. Thank you for coming.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Sir, would you, a lot of times these ordinances after they're passed by council, they have a hard time finding their way back to the land bank. And so, you know, if the land bank would call shortly after council, this is on the council's agenda, to get a copy of the ordinance. It has to be signed by the administration and then it'd be available. That's what happened to this case. All of the ordinances, I sent all your council got all of the ordinances except this one. And she called me and when I grabbed it to give to her, I recognized that we had mistakenly put the wrong address in. But she should have received it months ago anyway, but that's happened before.
Sure, sure. So just a timely follow-up to the ordinance being passed.
Right. Thank you.
We did inadvertently forgive taxes on the wrong property, right? Nobody else got the tax exoneration or anything. It was just amending, it, so it's correct.
Yeah, we already passed it, but we passed it for the wrong address. Same, you know, same index number, et cetera. It was just a typo.
Okay.
And I thought that,
Just
just
weren't
corrected.
Did
The
361
neighbor didn't get the
South
tax.
Center Street, get- all of a sudden they didn't have a tax bill or?
Right, yeah.
Okay. And then moving on to number 5, possible sale of a parcel from the repository of unsold. This is the same parcel that we had discussed in the prior meeting that we held back for Christopher Cunningham and West P Street, Mattea. I think that you're here to speak to that.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Earl Jones. I'm the manager of the Revenue Tax Claim Bureau for Erie County. Basically, when it comes to repository sales, the repository sale is the last sale of the process. It goes through an upset tax sale, then a judicial sale, which is lien free, and then it ends up on the repository. So these tend to be the parcels that are the last picked. So, we send notification when we get the bid. You guys receive that bid packet, but it goes to the municipalities first, because they're the ones that know their landowners and would know if there was something that they needed to go against. And then it goes to the school district for approval, and then once those approvals come in, we send it on to you for approval for the sale. We do have it set at $250 for the minimum bid, because again, these are the last properties, last tax sale properties. They're just trying to get it back onto the tax rolls. If any improvements are made, the assessed value automatically goes back up because you're gonna get building permits, that alerts assessment, they go back out, reassess it and bring it back up and get it back on that tax roll at the higher rate.
Mr. Chair. Terry, you, remember that, I had contacted the other solicitors to look into the issue of raising the base 250. And I did that, but we put it off and they're all on board, but we put it off because of the holidays. I just got another call from them, and so the city and the school district are ready to meet to consider raising the floor of 250 to another number. But we have to set a meeting. So if you want to give me at some point in time, any kind of dates, then I'll follow up with that.
Maybe you wanna select a delegation to represent council with that? I know Andre has showed a lot of interest in a reformer on that area.
The way we have it set up is, there'll be a lawyer and a representative from each municipality. So it would be you, Terry, or someone you designate.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
Janice, are they the ones responsible for raising those rates? Do they have anything to do with raising those rates?
The county is able to set the rate that we put on.
The county,
Yeah,
but-
for the real estate tax sale law,
So
but I
you-
would like to have George Joseph, who's my solicitor, speak on that.
do you think you should be at that meeting as well? Because I know the county sets them, I mean, we can listen to their input, but I don't think they're the ones that set those rates.
Personally, I would deflect that to George Joseph, because he's had over 20 years of experience with the.
Maybe also make a list of who you think should be at that meeting.
Ms. Allen, George Joseph is joining us at the meeting.
Okay,
And And
I
he
didn't-
has represented the tax claim bureau for 25 years, I'm sure. But it was his research on the subject, initially a year ago that we're going. So yes, the county is represented in George Joseph.
Do you
And you're
think-
welcome to come as well.
That's what I was going to ask,
And
if you're interested.
Mr. Horton's on mute. I can't speak for him, but my understanding of the conversation was not just about the rates for the repository sale, but just general reform in the process. Make sure that contiguous property owners are alerted to the availability of people in the neighborhood, people here first. And also concern about speculators of out-of-town companies coming in, buying a vacant lot and sitting on it for long periods of time just to sell it later. So I think it was a little more than just purchase price, but general reform to make sure that when we're doing a repository.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
yeah, you spoke that correctly. I don't necessarily have to or want to be on the committee, but it's something that I have been interested in for a couple, if not several years. We've had this conversation, and so I'm pleased just to know that it has moved. And there should be in that committee of professionals, I believe, is really, really capable of making recommendations to county council. Because I believe that in the end, we will be the ones who vote and approve on it.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if you want to designate Andre or somebody to be the county council representative, you could do that, but yeah, if you just give me some dates that you or Andre or whoever is going to be the representative are available, I'll go ahead and schedule it with the other solicitors.
Would add, if I may, Mr. Chair, I would add that if something of that significance, because it's rather significant in my mind. I would say that our solicitor has outlined a process by which all of those people would be there. But I believe that any council person that should desire to attend that should be privy to that as well.
I think it would be good for district representation, because I think right now the principles that we've involved with the city school board and the city of Erie, is that correct? Correct. But I mean, so this does have meaningful impact to other communities. I was talking with one of the Northeast school board members about their interest in the topic and stuff, so I think that there's probably a couple of steps there.
Well, in closing, I would like to thank Attorney Talarico and Attorney Joseph in his absence for moving the agenda, because even if you're double, they'll set the price or come with a recommendation for a sale price minimum. Even if you doubled it, it wouldn't be an astronomical fee on it, but something like that would at least generate more than $250 from a speculator.
Good, if we're doing that topic, it's the end of our agenda, but not the end of our business. Mr. Talarico sent us an email yesterday regarding a February 15th deadline from Act 394 requiring us to set compensation and tax collectors adopted prior to the 15th day of February. It is not currently on our agenda, but we could either move it sideways in this meeting to put it on our agenda for Tuesday, or we could take this and put it on the following meeting's agenda, and we would just need to push it to a single read. So I have this, I think everyone was given a copy of a draft ordinance that would be per exhibits A, B, and C, which are not yet produced. We have the date deadline for setting the compensation of tax collectors, but on this same ordinance is usually when we set the pay for elected officials in general. That'd be the chair, council districts 2, 4, 6, the executive, clerk of records, and sheriff. So we do not have exhibits A, B, and C attached to this yet. But they would be produced before Tuesday. We put on the meeting, or we could move it the following meeting.
I would need them by tomorrow.
You need it by tomorrow.
We got B done, I'll get it down.
B,
We got it done this afternoon.
Megan, B was the, okay, there it is, for the tax collectors. The B, are you putting that in for the association's request?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know, did anybody get a chance to review the association's request or take any issue with that in general?
Mr. Chair, I think it would be better if it went on Tuesday's agenda. So that it was on there for at least a week for the council to review it.
And then we could do it as the second reading.
Yeah,
I'm normally less inclined to want to move things on to the agenda in the finance meeting, just given some of the pushback we've had in the past, but I think there's a time deadline. And the fact that moving it onto the agenda actually gives more time for the voters to see it, that I agree with Tyler on that. Anyone that have an issue with moving this to the agenda on Tuesday? Okay. Paul, will we have exhibits A and C, I believe A being the elected official salaries and B being all the tax collectors, right? Is that correct? Did I get that right?
All the tax collectors. We're gonna see, yes. And then the elected officials, we can use what I made already.
That's fine, we can use that. So who would prepare item C to show all
See,
the,
I would need to find,
okay.
because I don't have that list, or what it would be parcelized.
Paul, are you guys okay with getting that to tomorrow so we can
Yeah, we'll
attach it?
get it, yeah.
So we'll go ahead and move that forward. So Pat, if you can make sure it's put on the agenda. Last, Colin, do you have any issues to address?
I just have, I'm just seeking some clarity, regarding the previous transfers that have come down. I am aware that there was some transfers that were pulled from the automation fees in the row offices, that was about $106,400. I did see that there was some transfers that came through, but that only put $32,300 back into the automation fee. So there's still 74,100 not accounted for. How is that?
That transfer was done with a correction. You probably just didn't get a copy of it. It really wasn't a transfer, it was a correction. So that account currently, if you were to run the December statement, you would see it's back to where it started.
Okay.
So, yeah, we didn't actually do a separate form for that. It wasn't a correction. It was a correction, not a true transfer.
So, just so I can understand. That was undoing the transfers from the middle of December and
Correct.
putting it back into the restricted fund.
Yep,
Are those other lines in that department now in the negative, requiring a transfer from somewhere else?
yes,
No,
There are
that's what I'm
some-
talking
they're
about.
working on that currently.
Yeah, we sent out an email today to all elected officials asking them to straighten those out.
Okay.
Great.
And nobody,
So, yeah,
you know,
it's just fixed.
nobody seemed to like our help.
Yeah, I get it. I know where you're coming from, but I think that people have a lot of ownership, especially elected officials, for their budget, so. Yeah. Nonsensical or not, I think they should be given that deference. And then do you have fund balance?
Nothing today, we're
Okay.
same as the end of the year. And we're working on what the end of last year came up with. So,
When you close the books. When is the final date that you close the books? You can't make any transfers from last year's budget. When is?
Next week, that's why we did just send an email doing a final call for any transfers. Then we'll close the December books on a cash basis late next week. And then that'll be that, but they're truly not closed until about April or May. Because then you have to make all your audit adjusting entries and move all your expenses and do a whole bunch of stuff, so. But the version the public will get will be the cash version next week for December.
Oh. We had a conversation prior to the last finance meeting about getting those transfers reported in Excel as well.
yeah, we'll get that down to you, Rob.
Well, and the thing is about that is,
It's not, no, yeah,
you're asking for them in Excel, like the forms that each department submits. That's just a PDF form, and an Excel version of that doesn't exist. So when a department fills out their budget transfer form, it's in that format for them. We'd have to have somebody develop, we probably should. The form's really old and outdated. We could have them develop that form in Excel, start using that going forward. So at least those would be in Excel. I can also run you,
You showed him that the last time.
I did.
Yeah, Rock, I mean, that's the best
I'll
we
run
can
you
do
an
with
Excel
our
version
software.
of December as a whole. But I figure, I mean, I could run that every day, because we're gonna get transfers every day. I figured I'll run you a 2024 one in its entirety after next week's come in.
2024 one I'm still waiting on, and then I guess. A monthly report of summary of the transfers that you'd reported to us on the signed copies,
Yeah,
that's appropriate. Again, the issue was. When we had the transfers in December, it took me 3.5 hours to disseminate all the accounts and where they belong and who they belong to.
I cleaned that all up for you.
And I just
Really
wanna
nice.
have, I wanna have things reported in a format to which. Our financial consultants can review. We need to be, tracking and saying, okay. Are we at 10% of the transfers in this department or not? And without being able to manipulate the numbers,
Right.
add them up. I'd rather not take Colin's time, typing all those up. If you can
Oh.
generate a report out of.
Prior
That's-
to the FMS upgrade, which occurred in mid-December, you would have had to do it manually. You had no choice. Now I actually can get a report out of the budget transfers in Excel, just as of the middle of December. So prior to that, there was no chance.
So will we have one of those for January coming to Colin?
As soon as all the
The other
twenty twenty-four finals come in, I can run it, click of a button for you.
Good. No other business?
well, Jen's got
Yeah.
some handouts regarding all the repository sale rules.
So that's
Some
what
of it's on the website, if anybody.
Sure.
I did an updated version for you guys. I haven't gotten it on the website yet, but it goes through all the it goes through the upside to judicial, to the repository. And then I have a life cycle of the tax bill, just so that you guys have some basics to go off of.
Great, thank you, appreciate that. If you want to leave it here.
Thank you, Jim.
We'll be talking about that very soon. Is the finance committee be adjourned or chart?
Mr. Winarski is unable to grace us with his presence today, so we'll take over. So we'll call the personnel meeting to order. Number one, ordinance number 5 of 2025 appointed official salary ordinance, full-time assistant public defender. We had a first read on January 14th. I don't see Nicole here. Anybody have any issues or concerns with that? Anyone? All right, please move that forward. Number 2, possible appointment of Anthony Simmons to the Diversity, Equity and Inclusion Commission. Term to expire December 31st, 2027, and that is mine. That was had a person in that position, she left, she resigned, she traveled for a job and stuff, so filling that position, his resume is attached, he's a business owner in my area, so I'm looking for good things from him. Number 3, possible appointment of Lori Robson to the Erie County Drug and Alcohol Advisory Board. Term to expire December 31st, 2027. That was brought by the county executive. Any questions, concerns?
Mr. Chair, if we back up again for your appointment to the DEI,
Yes.
do we know what the complement on that board is as far as the composition of blacks and minorities? Because we know that according to the bylaws of the DEI, there's a certain number that has to be maintained on that, and I'm not aware of the composition. But it could affect your appointment, depending on what that composition is.
So
I
make an
think
inquiry on that, I mean.
Yeah, I think we could, Karen could get the composition of it.
Yeah, I don't remember any rules in the bylaws regarding that.
I didn't either.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's right on the ordinance, in fact, I think that. I think the maximum number of. White guys and girls is, 2.
He's black.
He's black. No, the maximum number, the rest, the composition is a majority or more have to be, from a minority, natives.
But that shouldn't affect it. He is a minority, so he would.
He is a minority.
yes,
Yes, black
yes.
Wouldn't be the great.
Right.
I didn't remember what the exact number is.
I mean. I don't think that's included in his resume, but
No,
Yes.
generally not.
Generally not a resident, yeah.
just my ass. I know what he is. I didn't think it was, didn't matter. But good to know and good to know those numbers or whatever, so that going forward for anybody else. So 2 is good, back to 3, any issues or questions, concerns with, Lori Robson for your county drug and alcohol? Hearing none. Number 4, possible appointment of Christy, is it Nosich, to the Erie County Drug and Alcohol Advisory Board, term to expire December 31st, 2027. Also brought forward by the county executive. Information is in your packet. Any questions or any discussion there? Are you guys good online? You hearing all that? Any questions, concerns?
Nope, I'm good.
I'm good.
Thanks, sir. Thanks both. Number 5. Possible appointment of the Honorable Philip English to the Erie County Redevelopment Authority with a term to expire December 31st, 2029. Also brought forward by the county executive. And I don't know if you can live in Erie County and not know, at least part of his resume, but it's in there if you need it.
I've not seen anybody work harder to get, I don't know if you got the same number of phone calls and emails like everybody else did, but it seemed like he was very active in getting members in my district to contact me.
I guess it's important to him. or-
Yeah, he's got experience
Yes.
in that area.
Yeah.
Got experience whipping the boat.
Got a lot of experience all the way around.
Actually, I had an hour-long conversation with him about the service. He was talking about some of his resume, and I'm like, I gotta know who you are, like, yeah, I know where are you from?
Yep. Anyone online, any other issues, concerns?
Nope, great
Yeah,
job.
I got some concerns, but I ain't gonna voice them. I don't even feel good to even talk about it. I've known Phil a long time. And so I have some thoughts. It's not that I would stand in the way of his appointment, but I do have some thoughts. And we'll probably talk about that Tuesday.
Okay. Nothing, nothing further. I don't see anything else on there. I'll accept the motion to adjourn. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Hold on a second. Do we have anything?
Any, for an executive session?
No.
Oh, we should have adjourned.
Yeah, we already.
You made the
adjourned.
motion
So
to
technically,
adjourn.
technically, we-
You must not have any.
I called him late.
Nothing to do?
Oh, not tonight.
nothing we can't address
Oh,
at a later
it's
time.
late tonight.
You going to Emily's event?
He's like,
Get on
"What the
before it
hang out
starts
on?"